My name is Patrick Erlandson, and I work as the executive director of the See It, End It Film and Art Festival. We called it a festival intentionally because we really want the overriding message to be, yeah, this is dark, this is ugly, this is inhuman, but we're human and we can stop it.
My name is Stacy Jewell, and I am a survivor of human trafficking, a survivor leader, as well as a media activist. And I'm here today because, as a victim, a former victim of sex trafficking, now survivor, I feel like it's really, really important, one, to stand with our voices and our stories, along with filmmakers, artists, performing artists, those who are standing in the fight with us in this movement to raise awareness about human trafficking.
Most people think of human trafficking, they think of something happening half a world away. And in reality, it's right here in our own backyards, big cities, small towns across America.
Welcome back to another podcast of See It, End It. I am OneWay_Cafe. If you have not been here, we have been streaming on Tuesday, Thursday every week for the past, I think 5 or 6 weeks. We have covered a lot, from reality of survivors to grooming, foster carers, unhealthy relationships to father roles. We're so excited to be here. We, of course, always have lovely Patrick, the founder of See It, End It. How are you? What's going on with See It, End It?
Gee, I don't get called lovely very often. It is always a pleasure to be with Way. Things are going really well, and I'm really excited about kind of having this platform. The Twitch platform is just such an asset to be able to reach and get a message out about human trafficking today. The good, bad, and ugly. The successes and the hope, as well as kind of the alarm that really needs to be raised. The times that we're living through are extremely trying and extremely dark, but with silver linings. And so we need to really celebrate that, and also really explore how we can make a change now that we have this time given to us by COVID, how we can make the best use of this time to make changes in our world. So for me, I've been working for the past 9 years on primarily prevention of human trafficking. That's kind of the area that I've kind of fallen into, and is kind of my where I'm the most comfortable, as opposed to kind of a rescue or a restoration, both things of which are absolutely critical and vital. For me, I heard about a 17-year-old girl accepted into the university, very smart girl who was going to become a lawyer. But during the summer, she met a guy online on Instagram. She ended up going to meet him. The next thing you know, she's being arrested for prostitution in Orange County. She's arrested. She was put in a safe house, but she left the safe house, went back home, and started getting text messages from someone saying, we have to meet. She finally agreed to go meet the person who then stabbed her 17 times and left her in a gutter. For me, when I heard that story, I just felt like this is too great a price. We're losing people who are priceless to our human family. And I just wanted to do everything that I could possibly do to raise awareness, to get kind of the information into people's hands, to collaborate with families and communities, with education, with NGOs, to stop this flow. It's like we have this pipeline of kids coming out of foster care and coming out of our homes that are being exploited. And I think so much of our focus has been in this area of sex trafficking, because it's so alarming and so ugly and horrifying. But we can never kind of overlook also the labor trafficking side of human trafficking, which is massive. We have millions of people today, at a time when slavery is supposed to be over, when the international community has said slavery is unacceptable and shouldn't exist anymore. We have millions of men, women, and children who are being exploited as modern day slaves today, for their labor. And I think that we do a great disservice when we overlook that level of exploitation, and we and we somehow bypass what's happening to millions of our family members, of our friends, our community members, and those around the world that are being used, exploited, and driven to a point where, I mean, this is something that really gets me, is we have people that are choosing to kill themselves rather than endure another day of the life that they're being forced to live. And that should really give us pause, that people who have been put in positions where their freedom to be able to make the choices, to have decisions and have autonomy over their life and be able to excel at something in their lives has been deprived of them, as they're forced to do something solely for another person's financial gain. And for that reason, I am extremely excited to have Harold D'Souza join us tonight. Who's here. He's actually was someone who was trafficked into the United States. And this is an important story for people to hear. What's happening with people coming into the United States, people that are already here, and what's happening around the world. So please welcome Harold D'Souza for his voice of reason, his experience, and all that he's doing. And I would really love for you to introduce yourself, Harold. Let us know more about you.
Thank you very much, Patrick, and thank you very much, Wave. I'm really happy to be on this event today. But having said that, I think introduction, I would just say that I'm a common man. I say all these three things. I'm a common man, I'm a sinner, and I'm a failure. And this during the next, 2 hours, I think my viewers will understand every meaning what I said. I'd always tell that I failed on 4 P's. So I always tell, I failed as a parent, as a provider, as a protector, and as a person. So during this episode, you'll get a brief idea, which is just the tip of the iceberg, that what happens in the life of a victim or survivor, especially in the case of labor, trafficking, and debt bondage in the United States of America. Like back in India, everyone says going to America is like going to heaven, is like going to Swarg. Swarg means heaven. And that's a reality even today. So I'm very happy to be here, and I want to thank Patrick. I'm really amazed, Patrick, that your purpose and passion on human trafficking is really inspired me, because I was talking to you and you said that you're in Russia, right? For about 8 years. And Japan. Sorry, Japan, my bad. But what really inspired me is that, I want every community members to know globally who's watching this podcast right now, that every individual on this planet can contribute to combat human trafficking globally. It's not only in the hands of law enforcement agencies or NGOs, but even a common man. Like when I say common means like an individual like you, Patrick, like who's a professional and who has never been a victim of any crime, but you are so focused in combating human trafficking. That means a lot to victims and survivors like me and people across the globe. So we need more individuals like you and Wave, to get engaged. And every common man can contribute a lot, and which I will share during our conversation. So thank you very much for inviting me for this event, Patrick and Wave. And thanks for all the viewers who are watching from India. I think there are some delegates going to watch from Pakistan and Nepal and Canada and all across the globe. So thank you very much for joining in today with See It, End It, and Twitch.
Yeah, and Twitch. Yeah.
Yeah, Twitch. Thank you,
Twitch. Yeah, I think this has been a recurring theme with almost every guest that I've had and so many of the people that I've met, and especially with survivors, is that, they have this view of themselves as having failed, as having sinned, having suffered, but this is the beautiful thing about human beings, is that we can actually take the worst things that happen to us and turn them into kind of an ability to help others. And when we make that decision, when you choose to take the worst that the world has given you and you turn it into something that's going to prevent someone else from suffering the way that you did. And it's such a beautiful thing. And I think, don't sell yourself short, Harold.
Harold, at least for our community, we always kind of love hearing a little bit about background. And you have, we know that you were a victim of labor trafficking in the past. Are you comfortable sharing a little bit about that?
Yeah, honestly, because I grew up in India, and my native place is Bajpe, Mangalore, and then I was in Gujarat. But honestly, like when I grew up in my village, even today, like many houses do not have running water and electricity. So those days, there was no running water and electricity in our house. We used to always get water from the well, which was maybe like 200 meters from the house, and we used to draw water. And that is why I've written a book called Frog in a Well. Because I have these memories as a child, and then today when I go to India, even today, I draw water from the well. So we do get water in the house, but it still like gives me different pleasure to draw water from the well. And today also in every well there is a frog, and the frog thinks that's the world, because there is water, there is food, or there is everything. Same way in the case of human labor trafficking and debt bondage or even sex trafficking, the victim is always under the control of the perpetrator, and the victim thinks this is the world, but not knowing there is freedom, there is choice, there is talent, there is happiness to do much more and beyond. So that's the reason, like I always tell that people need to come out of the well. Like again, the victims need to come out, and we need to inspire them, engage them, motivate them, and give them freedom. So having said that, since our culture was different, like in my father's case, education was last in the list. For them, the first thing was to do the agriculture work, do the cattle farming, take care of the housing, because that was how they lived, farming was the must. And after he got time, their parents never told. They used to go to school on their own, and they used to walk 5 miles without slippers. And my dad has shown me like they used to go through the jungle means forest, because it was all forest. And then I don't think so my dad even did like till 9th or 10th. He came to Bombay in the year, I think 1957, wearing shorts and no slippers. But because he was the eldest, and that time there were big families, so there were 10 siblings. So my dad was the eldest, and my grandfather, I think he was a taxi driver in Bombay. So my dad got a job in the railways when he applied for some job. So he got a job as train conductor, like a TC, train conductor in a train in narrow gauge in Dhoboi, Gujarat. So my dad used to sleep on the railway platform. So he has told me all the stories in 1957.
Wow.
So that today also gives me inspiration. Like, when I'm down, that gives me inspiration. Like, come on, I can do this. If my dad started from his journey, sleeping on the railway platform, and then in our case, he put education the first on the top for us. So he gave us education. So I did my schooling in Convent of Jesus and Mary, which taught me value, character, education, and faith. And then I did my college. I never thought I will even pass 12th, because I was a failure, Patrick and Wave. From 3rd grade to 10th grade, I used to fail in all the subjects. And my report card, if you see, will be like 0, 3, 7 and all red marks. I used to tell my kids, and my kids used to think I'm joking. And when they came to India, like after 10 years or 12 years, the report card came in my hands and I showed them. But look at my kids, they are so oversmart. They went and read the remarks of the teachers, which I never remembered. And they say, see what the teacher has marked, Nadu. See that you need to improve on this. We are pushing you, promoting you. But anyway, I clicked after 10th grade. So I did my BCom. I did my master's in business management. I did my post-graduation diploma in human resource development and LLB in labor law. But this is all inspiration I got from my father. And then we grew up in a poor family. Now when I think back, even for us to have a thumbs up growing up as a child, which you call Pepsi or Coke, I could drink that only once a year. So we could not even afford to drink. We used to always go walking or cycling. So I did all those things. I got married. I'll just cut the thing. I'll just fast forward. I got married on May 29th, 1994. How individuals, or how a victim, or how a common man, Patrick and Wave and my viewers, can become a victim of human labor trafficking, debt bondage, because you have to understand the culture. You have to go 2 steps behind. Understand, we should be trauma informed on labor trafficking. Many times people are not trauma informed. They think, how is that possible? He was educated. He was a guy. No, it can happen to anyone. Just try to understand. Go 2 steps back. My marriage was an arranged marriage, Patrick. I got married on May 29, 1994. when I say arranged marriage, my dad saw and he said, Harold, this is a good girl. You should get married to her. I was in Ahmedabad. So I went for a conference. I went to see her. That time there was no photographs, no internet where you could see, and you could not even date. So when I went to their house, that's the first time I saw her physically. And there also, like, she'll sit 10 feet away. You're here. Like, that time also there was social distancing. But now it is 6 feet. But that time it was 10 feet. Can you imagine? I could not even hug her. That culture is not there in India of hugging. If you hug her, her dad will slap you. You're done. That's a reality. I'm not kidding. So you can't even think. So you're like, so I met her and then everything was fine and we got married on May 29th. So there was no dating before marriage. There was nothing. So it was always on trust. So I got married on 4 things. I got married on a trust, on a faith, on a promise and a commitment. Right?
Yeah.
So, and then I was invited to the United States of America in February of 2003. I had a very good job. I was working as an AGM, Assistant General Manager for BPL, which was in collaboration with Sanyo, Japan, on like refrigerators, microwave. And I met this perpetrator in Bombay. He offered me a job as a business development manager on a $75,000 salary per annum plus benefits plus bonus. And he said, I'll make you a partner and I don't know what all. Like my wife even today tells, she was telling yet during those days to the perpetrator one day that you showed us the moon and you gave us dust.
Yeah.
So now we laugh it out, but because I think I'm blessed and that I would just request way to play the video of Blue Ash slavery so people can get in nutshell in 3 minutes what happens in the life of a victim of, especially in the case of human labor trafficking, when you come to the United States of America, which is a very developed country and people are really good, but how you are manipulated, tricked and trapped.
You got that video away?
Human trafficking. It's victimizing tens of thousands of hardworking people in America. And as hard as it is to believe, it's happening here in the tri-state. Catherine Nero walks you step by step through a family's American dream and the moment they realized it was all a sham.
$75,000 a year. That's the money Harold D'Souza was promised. The money that made him uproot his family from India and move to Blue Ash. The money he never saw. What he did see was confusion, starvation, lies, and years of fighting to get the life he longed for.
Harold and Nancy D'Souza moved to the U.S. 11 years ago.
Back in India, it's every person's dream, I would say, to come to the United States.
With $1,000 in their pocket, faith, promise, and a dream.
The faith got changed to fear. The promise got transformed into slavery. And my dream, which I came, was like a hell.
Within months, the nightmare began. They worked 15-hour days, 7 days a week, and never got paid. The D'Souzas are educated, but they say they were still brainwashed by the restaurant owner who brought them here.
But whatever he said, we believed.
Aaron Meyer from End Slavery Cincinnati and the Salvation Army says that story is a common one.
It starts off as a seemingly, particularly with labor trafficking, this is a great job, it's going to be a great opportunity, and then it divulges into this abusive, restrictive, and coercive relationship.
So for more than a year, the D'Souzas lived with no money, no furniture. Their children, Bradley, now a sophomore at UC, and Rohan, a junior at Sycamore, slept on the floor. Clothing and food were scarce.
If you don't have a pair of shoes, you can still live. If you don't have some basic, no television, you can live, but it's very difficult to live if you don't have food. And I can still feel it.
The restaurant owner, whom the D'Souzas won't name for fear of retaliation, never paid them a penny.
In US, we didn't know the culture, we didn't know the people, we were totally clueless.
Eventually, Harold and Dancy took their story to Blue Ash Police, who sent them to the Department of Justice.
She said, this is a case of human trafficking. Till then, even we did not realize that we had been trafficked.
On the other side now, he's proud of his perfect attendance at his new job at Children's Hospital, and Bradley and Rohan have an entire trophy case of awards honoring their community service.
This community helped us so much. Us giving back however little time is still not enough to make up for the thanks that we have.
We came with a dream to the United States of America, and today I think we're living the dream.
Harold says the food he eats, the air he breathes, it's better now that his nightmare is over. WCPO reporter Lucy May has an in-depth look at the D'Souza's on WCPO.com, including the outcome of their lengthy court case and how you can help identify victims of human trafficking. Catherine Nero, 9 on your side.
Gosh, it's an amazing story. One thing that really stands out is just, and I've heard this over and over and over again, is people not realizing that they're being exploited. Like they know that something's not right. They know that something's wrong with this picture, but they don't really have a name for it, and they don't really see it. You know, like beyond because it's so filled with lies. It's just like you want to believe someone, and you want what the promise to become true eventually, so you hang in there. But I think if you can talk to that, what is it that keeps someone in a situation of exploitation, like psychologically, like what is it that you experience that kind of keeps you in a situation that people looking from the outside would go, why are you staying?
Yeah, Patrick, that's a very good question. But you have to understand that how the perpetrator operates, or the trafficker, he is a psychopath. He knows the psychology of the victim, and he knows how to control them because he knows their background. And in my case, the day I landed Patrick and Wave, the first thing he asked me, Harold, do you have any cash? And honestly, I was carrying $1,000 cash from India, which was legal from the bank. I don't know in how much difficulty I got $1,000. And he said, Harold, this is America. You cannot keep cash on you. It's not safe. I said, oh my God. So I was like, oh, okay. So I gave the $1,000 cash, my documents to him the day I just landed from the airport. So I had it never believed. I just gave it in belief, in trust. Right. Because I came on 4 things. I came on a trust, I came on a faith, and I came on a promise, and I came to live my American dream. And I blindly trusted him. And then within a few weeks, we were working 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days. He made my wife work, who was on a dependent visa, H-1B. She was not supposed to work because at that time I feel that I was such an idiot that I didn't know what was H-1B because I never focused. I was just focused on US. Because I'm just on US, I'm making this money and $75,000 like a mega million for me. And I said, wow, I'm in paradise. So I was like, and he made my wife work and he fixed her salary at $2,000 a month. And he gave us a reason. But Harold, you need to buy a house. And for that, you need down payment. And we didn't know anything. We didn't know the culture. We didn't know the people, how this country operated. And to keep you informed, Patrick and Wave and my viewers, in the United States of America, labor trafficking happens at gas stations, convenience stores, motels, and restaurants. Because these are all the places I've seen it. I've witnessed it. I got re-victimized. And whenever labor trafficking happens, the perpetrator or trafficker will provide accommodation next door, attached to your business. It's a reason. It's all well planned. So you don't have to even go 200 meters. So once it rains, there's thunderstorm or snow, he knows labor is available 24 hours. Number 2, he does not have to pay you salary because he takes care of the lodging and boarding, the bare minimum. And number 3, most of the workers in labor trafficking and debt bondage are foreign nationals, at least 90%. 10% would be local Americans. I'm just giving a hypothetical data because there is no special methodology to find the data on human trafficking. Yeah. So these people, the perpetrator will tell them that, okay, I'll keep the money with me, and whenever you go back to your country, I'll give it to you because most of the immigrants do not have a bank account. And that is where they squeeze them. So at least they're used for 18 months to 2 years. And what do? Like when we go to a coffee shop, we have a coffee, we'll drink. And what do you and I do? And we'll just go and thrash it in the trash can in a very humble way. But what does this traffickers do or perpetrators? They'll use the victims for almost 2 years. The salaries are not given to them. And once they know now they lost the charm, so they will not pay them. They'll just squeeze them and throw them and thrash them. So what happens in this case in labor trafficking and debt bondage in the United States of America, Victims move from one state to another state because they are scared. Perpetrators use 4 words: Patrick and wave. In the entire United States of America, they use only 4 words to immigrant workers, whether it is me or anyone. And million times. Number 1, I'll get you arrested. Number 2, I'll get you handcuffed. And when they say handcuffed, they do by action. And they say, do you want to get handcuffed? Do you want to go to... Number 3, I'll get you jailed. And number 4, I'll get you deported. And let me tell you, Patrick and Wave and my viewers, no foreign national, no immigrant, or maybe any who's an American would not like to go to prison. Everybody is a good human being. They have come to here to live a better life. They are not criminals. But when you come to this land on the United States of America, you get scared because you don't know the law. And this is the reality.
Yeah, I think one thing that we hear about, the undocumented immigrants, so undocumented people who come into the United States, their vulnerability is also like that, right? That whoever's going to take control of them can constantly hold that over their head, that they're going to get them deported, arrested, and sent out. But even you, with a legal visa, you had a legitimate visa to be able to come into the United States, and still that's the leverage that's held over you. It's very, yeah.
But Patrick, number 1, I should compliment you that you are not in a law enforcement agency or a common, but I would not say you're a common community member, but you use the word undocumented. That's very, very powerful, and keep using that. But in the real life, in the real world, in sex trafficking, everybody has a nickname and the girl forgets her original name.
That's right.
But in labor trafficking and debt bondage, you're always nicknamed as illegal. So they'll not call me Harold, he'll call me illegal, come here. And they call me illegal. So what happens when you are called illegal? Understand one thing, in my psychology, it was going on that I'm a criminal. And at that time, see, he did three things with me, Patrick and viewers. That number 1, he manipulated me, he tricked and trapped me. Then my focus changed. I didn't know my SSN was with him. Everything was going to his house. So I didn't know anything. So I was like, the way I got exploited, then your perception thinking changes. I'll give you a small example. Within 1 month, we used to work till night 2 o'clock, my wife and myself. The first night when he came home at night 2 o'clock from the restaurant, which is just a couple of steps, and we are staying in 1-bedroom apartment. We didn't know how to use a thermostat. We never had AC in India. It's a luxury. And here it is a thermostat. I didn't know. We never used to touch it. And we reached home at night 2 o'clock with so much excitement to meet our kids. So I opened the door. And with so much excitement, I opened the door so hard that my younger son, Rohan, was sleeping inside the house near the door waiting for us, with his head near the door. And I hit it so hard on his head that, it still triggers me. And I'll never forget till I die. And my older son, Bradley, was sleeping 6 feet away on the floor like a rat, only in underwear. Nothing else. And on the floor, there was no bed. We didn't have a microwave in the house. There was no food in the house. Can you imagine when you come home at night, we say, oh my God, there's no food. We work in a restaurant and there is no food for us. It's a very sad situation. But what happens? They break you down. And that's how, and I'll tell you another thing before I stop, is that comes August, I didn't know what is credit score here. Many times immigrants don't know. I'm talking of 2003. Understand one more thing. I'm talking of 2003. He said, Harold, you need to take a bank loan. I said, bank loan? I said, no, my wife was, no, we don't need a bank loan because we are of a different culture. Well, no, you need a bank loan because I have to buy your house. You need to build your credit. I didn't know what is credit. And then he compelled me. He forced me to take a bank loan. So he takes me one day in the month of August to one of the banks, which I don't know till today, which bank it was. I was there in the bank for 6 minutes. I sent a couple of documents and there I get a check in my name in 5 figures, dollars. He takes me to his multi-million-dollar house. By the way, Patrick, Wave and all my friends, viewers, understand one thing. In labor trafficking, I know I'm not, or in sex trafficking, perpetrators or traffickers are multi-millionaires. They do this business intentionally because the risk factor is very thin and the profit margins are very thick. Out of 10, 9 do not get prosecuted. So these people have two sides of the coin. In the society, they are multimillionaires. My perpetrator used to go to the casino and spend $10,000 or he used to lose $10,000 and nothing happened. Nothing would shake. Like I used to get a scare, but that's what he used to tell me. And I know that for him it didn't bother him. But anyway, he takes me to his house after the check. He goes to his, we go to his multi-million-dollar house, and then he puts a scotch in a shot glass. And then he says, Harold, cheers. Man, you're a rich man. Let's celebrate. I didn't know what was going on. The moment I gulped, he removes the chit from his hand and he says, Harold, you owe me this money. In 1 second, Patrick, Wave, and my friends, in 1 second, I lost 4 things. I lost my voice, I lost my courage, I lost my hope, and I lost my freedom. I didn't know what hit me. And I was thinking, what the hell? How the hell I'm going to repay back this money? It was not 10,000. It was not 20,000. It was much more than 40,000. And I was like, my God, and here and I didn't know at that time that red flag that it was a debt bondage. And next day he withdrew all the money from my bank account. Now think what happens to an immigrant who does not know anything, and he told us never talk to any American. I was very scared. I would say again, 10 years back to talk to you or to Wave, Patrick, because you all have white skin and I'm brown. Understand? My skin is brown. After coming to America, actually I was black, now it has become brown after coming to America. but I always feared to talk to any American. He said Americans don't like immigrants or brown skinned people. And I believed it. And this, he always told me that he doesn't like kids coming to the house or to the restaurant. You know how they break you? You have 2 daughters, right? I heard you telling me, Patrick.
Yeah.
And I don't know about Wave, but I'm just giving a small example, which is not a small example, it's a living example. How people surrender and how people accept it. My perpetrator, Patrick, slapped, a full-fledged slap, hard slap like you hit a man when you're angry. He slapped my kids in front of my own eyes. For what? Nothing. To teach me a lesson. You know what happens to you? If somebody slaps your daughter when she's say 4 years old, in front of your eyes, a full-fledged slap, not your thing, and when he or she or the child has not done any mistake, if a child does a mistake, you still discipline him by verbally.
Yeah.
But you will not hit your enemy's child. Forget your own child. Will you hit your enemy's child? No. You will not hit an animal's baby. But you know what happened? My son cried. I can still see his tears. But it sticks to me till I die. But what did I do? Nothing. I just watched. I didn't raise a voice. I was helpless. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. But I'm just trying to share. Sorry.
No, I think people really need to understand that, because it's one of the greatest misunderstandings of human trafficking is that whittling away at a person, like you said, your natural instincts as a father, it's just being scraped away little by little by little by the things that are being removed from you, and by the damage to your ability to trust. You end up being reliant on this one person. I remember hearing this story from one. It was about a strip club, and it was the strip club owner, and he was being filmed like a hidden camera, and he was bragging about how he had control over the girls, where he would tell them how many pieces of toilet paper they could use, like the details that he would allow them only to use 3 pieces of toilet paper. That's it. And he was explaining why. He goes, if they can't even choose how much toilet paper to use, then how are they ever going to feel that they're free to leave me? So he would use all these little things to show that he had control, in the same way that your trafficker slaps your son in front of you to show you that he's the one who has control, right? And that you're impotent. You're not going to be able to stand against him or go against him. It's just awful. It's just that, but I think it's so important for people to understand what happens to someone, where you have your basic instincts are just being overridden little by little by little by someone who takes control of your freedom. It's such an important thing for people to understand.
That's a very very true scenario you said, and that's how then once you're trauma informed, you can understand friends, your viewers, like it's very difficult for a victim or a survivor to come out and share and talk. It's not easy.
Yeah, we can see it. I mean, this is a painful thing for you to have to recount. I mean, it's just, and I'm so grateful that you're willing to do that, because I know this is not easy, especially as a parent. I think that's if it's yourself and you're alone and that's different. But when you feel like you have to protect your children and take care of your family, that's a unique pain there. And so I really am so grateful that you can share that. Yeah.
So in chat, we're talking a lot about, like, from what you've said, there's a lot of fear tactics, demoralization. I talked a little bit about gaslighting in chat, because it seems that they are very manipulative in a sense of how trafficker keeps their victims. In that case, I would like to know, like, how do most victims of labor trafficking come to US?
That's a very good question, because I came in the aeroplane on an H-1B visa, and when I lived with more than 100 victims, Patrick and Wave here, in this situation, and people told me, how did you come? I said, I came by plane. Said, you came by plane? I said, yeah. I said, how did you come? We came walking. I said, you came walking? Because I lived with Mexicans, with Guatemalas, with Nepalese, Indians, like every country. And then can you imagine? That is when, there's a reason why I became an advocate. I never wanted to get into this. Had you give me $10 million and say, Patrick, no, I'm not interested. I'm going the other way around. I don't want to share this. But I have seen people from Mexico, Nepal, because I have worked with them, I've slept with them. When I say slept with them, means in the same room, these guys telling their stories. And, these people have reached after 6 months, 8 months, even 1 year. And some have got deported, some died in the jungle. But these people drank or ate leaves when they were hungry and grass, and drank their own urine. And out of 10, only 2 made it. And that's the reason I'm creating awareness, is that never ever pay your agent in your country, whether it is Mexico, Nepal, India. I'm creating awareness in India itself. I started a non-profit, Eyes Open International, to educate people. You have to come legally. Come on a B1, B2 visa. Appoint an agent to help you on getting a visa, like legally, if you don't know, to guide, and pay him for his services. But don't pay an agent that he takes. One lady paid 53 lakhs rupees last year. That is $74,000 for her husband and her child. After 5.5 months, she was deported back she was caught in Mexico. And she said that she saw dead bodies when they were going through the jungle. She said, never ever I'll go back to the US. Because these people are not told. They are tricked. And if you have 53 lakh rupees, Patrick and Wave and my friends who are listening today, you can live a wonderful life, happy life in your own country. These people, I don't know, they trick them and they think that you can make the money like this. No, US is not that easy. Nobody tells them the story. They try to trap them. There are so many. I always tell that, come legally. If you're coming on a B1, B2 visa, which is a visit visa, stay here for 5 months, because you get for 6 months. But go back. But there are so many people here, traffickers. Oh, you stay back, work in my motel, work in my gas station. I'll do your paperwork, because they want labor. Labor is expensive here.
Yeah.
And so many people have got stuck. Some people, they tell them, you get married, I'll get you a girl. So many people I've seen, they got married and they got into debts of $40,000, $50,000. And plus the marriage didn't work. But these are all traps, but they don't share the story because it's a stigma. It's a shame.
Sure. What's the relationship? I mean, I think that's one thing that comes up repeatedly is the work of agents. So you have agents that are working with. I mean, your trafficker was someone who ran a restaurant in America, but you were connected to him through an agent. No? Okay.
No, I was not connected through an agent, and I not, because I never wanted to come to the US. But then, I met him in Bombay, and he was shopping. So he was looking out for people, and then we got connected, and he was a far off. See, most of the people, after coming to the US, Patrick, I learned that many times family members, distant family or friends get involved or trap you. So this gentleman had come in 1960s to the US, and he's from India, but he's very affluent. He's a multi-millionaire, but he has trafficked a lot of people like this in the past. But nobody rose to the occasion to fight him. So you know what happens? These people get confidence. They are over law. They think that they are the president of the United States of America. Even the president of the United States of America will not do that. But they think like that. I've seen it with my own eyes. They're psychopath. They'll cut you and throw you and nobody know that you're dead. I've seen 2 guys die here. When I say friends means they were like me, victims. And it has gone unnoticed. Like this, I tell you, like the styrofoam cup, it's gone. Nobody knows, nobody's inquiring. But you know what has gone back with their family? And I've seen this with my own eyes. And let me tell you one more thing. You know that you can buy a pen. You know, you'll buy a chapsticks. You know, or you can buy this pin. This handcuff pins. Anyway, this was given to me by President Barack Obama, not President Trump at the White House. So, but what I'm trying to tell you is that here in the United States of America, people will buy human beings. They'll buy me. Like Way will buy me for $25,000 and say, Patrick, here, Harold is yours. This illegal guy. Do what you want. And then you'll make me. You're not going to do it. I'm just giving an example. So like.
You're right.
But people like will say, okay, now you have to pay me, and then interest keeps on going. I've seen people being sold here, and I think my perpetrator was trying to do the same thing by doing a debt bondage. But human beings are sold here in the United States of America, which is unbelievable. Nobody knows that's below the carpet that this happens in your backyard. I've seen so many cases. But this is a reality.
When it comes to what's going on in the U.S., what figure do you use for how many people are being trafficked in the U.S. right now?
See, I'll tell you, I'll be very honest with you, Wave and Patrick. I've been working at the White House and even with the Ohio State, with the Governor's Office and Attorney General's Office. I've been working on this almost for a year, but I've become very aggressive now. This is a survey report I've done of Eyes Open International Freedom Survey, and these are all the details, especially of labor trafficking victims. Because these people have never ever gone to the police station, they never called the hotline, the National Human Trafficking Hotline, or they never asked for help because they are scared that they'll get deported. So I'll be very honest that today we do not have the actual figures of human labor trafficking and debt bondage. In sex trafficking, yes, we have accomplished certain figures or certain methodology. But in labor trafficking, I'll be very honest even today that people are not coming out and sharing. I just say that whatever figure we have, I would say on the higher side it is 25% or 30% on the higher side. Still like 70% people are not coming out and talking. And that is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to work out a law in Ohio where we can expunge the felonies of all these people and give them a status. Because there's one guy, he came in the year 1998, Patrick and viewers, and he came through the jungle. Right? And the perpetrator that time told him to destroy his passport. So you don't know what all people tell them and they do it. Because these people are not that educated. They don't know anything. And they just do it. Oh no, you do this, we'll do this. And today, if you go to see, as a law enforcement agency, you'll think he's a criminal or he's on the wrong side of the law. But actually he's not on the wrong side of the law. You have to be trauma informed. So that's the reason I keep on telling many times, a girl gets prosecuted, like you just now said about a girl. And she got prosecuted. She's not a victim of sex trafficking. But then that's the reason I want to do this presentation, that we need to prosecute the perpetrators. See, when you save one victim, you save one survivor. But you know, if we prosecute one perpetrator, we will save 100 victims. So our focus has to change on the perpetrator. Why are we not talking about perpetrators? Number one. Number two, why are we not putting the case in the media? Here, this perpetrator was caught. He did this and he's now in the prison. So what happens? The other perpetrators will get scared. Today, anytime there is any media, the perpetrator tells the victim, see, immigrants are coming behind you. You are illegal. Trump administration is behind you. No, that's wrong. They manipulate that. And the people are more scared.
Yeah, we had a case here, actually not far from where I lived, where there was a French bakery, very popular bakery, and it turned out that all of the workers were from the Philippines, and they were all cramped on a floor in the family's house. They had to work the same as you. They were working like 16 to 18 hours a day. They had to work at the home, take care of the children, take care of the house, and do the baking and everything in the bakery. And when someone helped the victims there, because it was a number of people that had all been brought over from the Philippines, very similar, had their passports taken away. And when they finally had someone helping them, the owners of the restaurant fought back, and they started posting all these pictures of, people sitting around drinking beer, and they would have these isolated pictures and say, look, see, these people were all very happy. They were doing what they wanted to do. It didn't work, but they were really trying to make it look like, what was being said about them as the perpetrators was completely wrong, and that they were actually really taking care of all these people. And I think that's one of the problems with is building effective cases, where we need laws that allow real effective cases to be brought against the perpetrators of labor trafficking. It's one of the areas where if you don't get the cooperation of the victim, if you don't get the cooperation of the victim, then it's very hard to bring a case. And as you said, a lot of the victims don't want to come forward. So it just continues.
Yeah, and I'm really proud to say that, Patrick, Wave, and my viewers, that what United States of America has done in appointing survivors on the United States Advisory Council, that is something very unique in the world. And it was started by President Barack Obama in 2015, So basically the gap was so thick, or very thick that time. And you'll not believe that on December 16th in the evening, he announced, or he might have announced in the morning or afternoon, I don't know, but I got a call in the evening at 6:30 when I was working at Cincinnati Children's Hospital, which went for 8 months, the interviewing process. And they told me, Harold, congratulations, you have been appointed by President Barack Obama. And honestly, I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know, because I never applied. I didn't know what was the council. And I said, oh, okay, fine, thank you. And I kept it was only a 1-minute conversation. Yeah, and I said, and I started working. I came home, had my dinner, and I was about to go to bed. And when I was about to go to bed, I just checked my phone. There are like 100 WhatsApp messages. And in India, it was 17 the next day. So it came in the newspapers all over the world in the front page. Indian American appointed by President Barack Obama. And I said, what is this? And then one of the newspapers, I still remember NDA, or they got to my LinkedIn site and they got all information. And they said, what a gift it is, because December 17th was my birthday. And the rest is all history. And January 5th, 2016, I was inside the White House. So it's a blessing. Then I always think that, you have to be appreciative what happens in your life. I always believe that turn obstacles into opportunities. I cannot change the past, but I can change the present and future. Even if I cry, I had 2 options. Either I cry and die, or I live happily. So I decided I'll live happily. So I cannot do anything. So I can just be happy, help people, empower people, just chill. What else to do? What can you do?
So,
yeah, it is. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm just so fascinated with this. I have so many questions. I want to know, what do you think is the key for preventing people from being trafficked into the U.S.?
I think the number one, it's a very good question. I think number one is that about education means this common sense, not in education. If you're not educated, you're unskilled, you don't have any skills. But it should have some common sense. If somebody says that, if you go to a young girl, I received a lot of people call me. So this girl was in the south and she called me, that was a year back, texted me and all. She was getting a job for $8,000 in California. I said, wow. I said, $8,000 per month? Bolte, yes. Then I said, what job? Bolte, it was hospitality. Then I said, no. Then I told her, you just don't come. It's a question straight. I tell on the face. I said, don't come. This is a case of sex trafficking. Person, Patrick, I don't know anything. You might be making more, but making $8,000 is not easy for a girl coming from India. So I always tell people, do some research or call me. I'm already on I've got a website, Eyes Open International, and then I'm on the Facebook. So we have a hotline number in India. If we have a hotline number in the US and Canada. So always, I tell people, go to my website and call us. A lot of people try to reach me, and I tell them that number one is education in terms of common sense.
Yeah.
So somebody tells you, just don't take the next flight and come. And it's not going to happen. And people pay the agent, and now also people call me, I don't want to come. During the pandemic, people are more interested. I said, no, it doesn't work. If you have to come on a visit visa, that's fine. Or if you have to go to Canada, whereas Canada, you can come on a PR. And you can apply where they are encouraging, if you're educated, come to the proper channel or come for education. America is a good country. I'm not saying it's a very good country. But come legally. Do not pay agent, come through that Mexico eating grass and leaves, and then you'll repent. One boy, he was 20 years old from North India last year. He just failed. I think he failed in his army test or something. So one agent said, "Whoa, he paid some $44,000." Right? And this money, they don't have it, Patrick, my friends. This is not that you give it on a credit card or on a loan. You have to pay hard cash on the table. And once paid, the money is gone. Now he survived, but he's gone back. He said, "Never I'll go back to US." And there are so many people who have died. Their parents, they don't know where they are. There are so many people in the prison in Buffalo. I'm interacting with them in the detention center for the last 4 years. They're caught and they're put in the prison. But nobody tells. See, the best thing is that nobody is sharing their pain. And that is what I'm trying to do. America is the destination. But India, Pakistan, Nepal, Mexico, other countries are the source.
Yeah.
So we have to see what will happen. I've realized one thing. I did a research here, Patrick, Wave, and my viewers, that in the United States of America, myself, you, everybody, NGOs, will keep on saving victims of human labor trafficking lifelong. There is no full stop. There will never be a full stop until and unless we stop at the base.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly right. We have to go upstream to where the vulnerability is.
Right.
And that's feeding the providing the people that are being victimized. And then we also need to deal with the perpetrators here, and that's where there needs to be a cooperation between legislation, lawmakers, law enforcement, and kind of NGOs, and then because we need to hit it from both sides, but we need to cut off the supply. We just have way too many people that are buying the lies and are being kind of sucked into this life, expecting something very different.
And that's why, like I said, in the beginning also, we need to collaborate. We are Eyes Open International is would like to collaborate with you, see it, end it. Ambassador John Richman, who's at large in Washington DC. He's a very good person. I always tell him about 7 P's for him. We always say about prevention, protection, prosecution, partnership. But I always add another 3 P's for Ambassador John Richman. Always tell he knows the pulse. He knows the pulse of the victim and the pulse of the perpetrator. Then he knows the pain. The 6th P, the pain of the survivor and a victim. And the 7th, he knows the power of a victim. What a victim can do once he becomes a survivor leader. And at the same time, he knows the power of the perpetrator and he knows how to prosecute them. So we need such humble people like Ambassador John Richman, because if we work as a team, we can eliminate this totally. But we need to work as a team. I cannot do anything. I can share my story, but then we can work as a team and we can eliminate. I know, what you said, when I go out, I can identify who is a victim. That's inbuilt. I can see, if I go to a restaurant, and same way, vice versa, we can even identify who's a perpetrator.
Yeah, I met Ambassador Richman when he was here in Los Angeles the last time he came out. And he's just such a great guy. And I think a lot of people don't realize that America has an ambassador at large.
Yes.
For human trafficking. And what that means, and at large ambassador means he's not an ambassador to one country, he's an ambassador to all countries. He has a responsibility to represent the fight against human trafficking on behalf of the American government globally. And just an amazing position that he has, and such an incredible person to have that place. Yeah, I loved seeing your picture with him. Some of the pictures that you sent to us.
No, I just want to share viewers and friends that Ambassador John Richman, number one, he's first a good human being. Then he comes as an ambassador. That's something very unique of him. I'll share something today. I never share it, but Ambassador John Richman just sent me this last week. He has personally signed and sent this the report. Okay, who will do that? This came in the mail and he has handwritten and mailed it to me. Ambassador John Richman, right? And he's in regular touch with me. He's like a friend. If I he sent me this card. And it is handwritten with his, John, his personal card handwritten. So it's not a thing like that means a lot. See, I'll tell you one thing, victims, and he has sent me so many things. He sent me in this complimentary this thing, a pen set. So this is something like will remain with me for life or for the next couple of generations. So what I'm trying to share, I just want to thank Ambassador John Richmond if he's viewing this program for supporting all the victims and survivors, and which he does that. And I've seen Ambassador John Richmond. It's not only with me, Patrick. Any victim or any survivor, he listens. He always does. I always tell he looks, he listens, he learns, he lives and laughs with them. No, that's the reality. I've seen it in my own practical example. Other day we were going, I still remember, January 31st, we were going to the White House. Okay, that Trump had invited us. So when we are walking, myself, Ambassador John, there are some other delegates, and we both are walking, we all are walking, and I'd just come back from India or something. I'd come back from Dubai from an event, and he was telling everybody that this guy is traveling everywhere, and we are talking, and all of a sudden he walks out and he tells there was a couple from some different country, I don't know, from Germany or Europe, and they're trying to do a selfie. So he says, hey, come on, why don't you all stand, I'll click the photograph. And they were so excited, and he went and clicked the photo, and I was observing him. I said, wow, see, you're so observative. And they didn't know that he's Ambassador John Richmond, and then they would be wondering, oh my God. But he was so he's so practical, he's so human. I had lunch with him, dinner with him, and then after some time when I'm on the table, then I think, that's Ambassador John Richmond. So I'll tell you one thing, why I'm trying to share this, friends, Patrick, like the way you spoke to me today or way is that victims and survivors in labor trafficking, debt bondage or sex trafficking, they need only one thing. They are starving of love. They're starving of respect. They're starving of appreciation. Like even if you just tell, hey, hello, and take their name. Hey, you can take any name, hey Sheila, hey Rahul, hey Rakesh, hey Sonal, hey Rachna, hey, how are you? How's life? What's going on? And just listen to them. And just spend some time. Like even if you go out for lunch or it does not cost you anything. Just smile and one name. And that you don't know I just don't know how to say that it is priceless for every victim and survivor. When now Americans like you, now it is COVID-19, when they used to come and hug me, or I used to feel like, wow, she came and touched me. It was like that. I'll be very honest. I saw myself, wow, she came and touched me, So that's a feeling that remains in the issue. Understand again, trauma and what goes in the mind, body, and soul of a victim and a survivor.
I think that's one thing people don't get, but that's what a trafficker does is they want you to feel invisible, right? They want you to feel like nobody notices you and nobody cares about you. And so then, your only lifeline to anything is through the trafficker, right? I mean, there was a girl here, 11 years old. She was being trafficked outside of Disneyland. 11 years old. Wow. She was being sold, and she said no one asked her why she wasn't in school. Nobody took any interest in her at all. Here's this little girl in her hot pants and her tank top, standing on the street corner, waiting for men to drive up and pick her up. And that was the thing that just haunted me, was just this idea that she was invisible. Nobody saw her except, the men who wanted to buy her. And what a tragic feeling that is for a human being. And it's like you said, we want to be seen, we want to be known, we want to be real to
right.
other people, right? And that's what's being deprived of a victim of human trafficking. They're being made to believe that they're invisible and that no one cares about them. So what you said is so significant. Just acknowledging another human being. Yeah.
So I really appreciate what Patrick and Wave you all are doing, and creating awareness and inviting especially survivors. That's pretty huge. I'm telling you one thing, you're doing God's work, both of you. And people watching will have more courage, and will have more inspiration to come out and talk. There are so many people into domestic violence, in depression, in poverty, in slavery, because these vulnerable people then become a victim of human trafficking. But that's the reason I always tell that, there is always an outcome. You can always change your life. Or like what Napoleon Hill said, what your mind can conceive and believe, you can achieve. And that's what I try to do. You said about the father, right? My two kids, for them to eat a candy, this was Trump gave me from the White House. But even for my kids, to eat a candy, I'll tell you one thing very honestly, even 15 years back, to eat a candy of 25 cents from the vending machine, we didn't have that money. But today in my house there is candy. But what I want to tell is that my kids were starving, not hungry. There's difference between hunger and starvation. Starvation is you're ready to eat again from the garbage.
Yeah.
Right. So always say, my father used to always tell me that one person's meal, 4 people can eat. But 4 people's meal, 1 person cannot eat. And our situation was worse. We didn't have even 1 person's meal. But today also, I get the biggest joy when I see my kids eat. Even today. Even when they come here, they both are in Chicago. But whenever they're eating a good thing, or I'm with them in Chicago, I don't tell them, but because I have seen that, like you don't feed a dog for 7 days, and then you eat a chicken in front of him. You know what happens? Saliva will start falling, and he'll be just looking at you like that, you know. Give me, as I know what my kids have gone through. So and that's the reason I said we need to help people. We need to feed them. Forget, like Mother Teresa always said, do not waste time judging people, just love them. I am nobody to judge anybody. Sometimes I see somebody, other day somebody was at the Kroger parking lot, a man with a daughter in her hand, and came with I ran out of gas and something. So can you give me $5? You know, and I gave $20. And then I said there was a McDonald's. I said go buy something and feed her and do what And I just then somebody I was at my workplace. Oh Harold, you should not do that. People people just come in. I said that was I didn't tell him, but I said that's not my job. I felt something, I did it. I don't want anything in return. Now it was up to him. That's not my job, But when you see something, you just help them, period. Like this COVID-19, you'll not believe. Patrick and Wave and viewers, that people have become very, very vulnerable. Especially the immigrants. Number one, they did not get the stimulus package. Number two, I respect the Americans. They maintain social distancing, which is right. I agree. Number three, all these areas where you should get all the donation, food and all, is all closed. Now, who will go to them? What, will just dump them? I've been running bread to them. So I think if she can play that video, Way.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what you're also doing, Patrick? Yeah, sorry.
You're okay.
God bless America. Vande Mataram. 1 person's meal, 4 people can eat. But 4 persons' meal, 1 person cannot eat. So during COVID-19, there are a lot of people who are unemployed, lost jobs, homeless. And today what I'm doing is I'm just delivering food from Kroger to the homeless shelter of people who are undocumented in the parishes. So I just want to thank Kroger for donating this food. And I request all my friends back in India, Nepal, Pakistan, Mexico to share and care with their friends at least some food at this particular time during COVID-19. So God bless Kroger, Mera Bharat Maan. Thank you.
So this is through your organization?
Yeah, Eyes Open. I started a non-profit, Patrick, Eyes Open International.
Yeah, please tell us about that.
Yeah, so see, this is all like a miracle. I never thought I will yet be a public speaker. I never wanted to talk. 10 years I was not talking. I lost my voice, courage, hope, and freedom. But I flipped it. Like I told you in the beginning that I failed on 4 P's. Like as a person, as a provider, as yeah. But now that 4 P's have got flipped into passion, purpose, prosperity, and prayers. And then I started this non-profit because a lot of people told me that, Harold, you should start this. So I wanted to work because I used to do a lot of presentation, but it was only like physical presentation as I was being invited. But then I wanted to reach out to a lot of people, especially stop this in India, my own home country. And I said that can be done only through a non-profit and where a lot of people join me. So I started this Eyes Open International, which is focused on prevention, education, protection, and empowerment of community members globally. So we have a branch in India. So I have Hriday Rawal, who's the regional director for India. He's doing an amazing job. And we have sponsored a girl at Halol, Gujarat. These girls are picked up from the railway station, streets, and bus stands, and who have been even exploited sexually. So Eyes Open International has sponsored a girl, which is only $200. So I'm not good in grant making, but we have sponsored a child there, and we have started a hotline number over there, which Ridhay Rawal is managing. Then we have Fiona Dixon in Canada. She's a very smart girl, and she's managing the Canada operations for Eyes Open International. Then recently we appointed Viyashi Gandhi, who is the regional director for USA. Then I have an outreach director, Desma D'Souza in Dubai. And then we have Emil Barr, who is the vice president communication. And all these people, my friends, and Patrick, they're volunteering their time. Emil Barr is just 17 years old. I always tell age is just a number. He's doing an amazing job. Vyasi Gandhi is only 19 years old. Mostly are all teenage. I believe age is just a number. And most of the people had challenges in their life. So I'm appointing people who have literally gone struggles. It's not that somebody is from a very affluent family. So my goal is in reality to empower people and girls that who understands the pain of another humanity. So it's about humanity. It's not about anything else. And today I've got more than 200 volunteers globally. And there are a lot of volunteers who are very professionals like you. I'll give an example. I have a dentist doctor here, very nice, Dr. Silverstein, Scott Silverstein. He did my dental, my entire teeth were gone. Today you see me smiling, it's for Dr. Scott Silverstein. I'll be very honest. He started working on my teeth. Most of the victims or survivors, Patrick, whenever you meet them, they need 4 things. They get 4 things complimentary. Number 1, they have diabetes. Number 2, they need dental cleaning. Number 3, vision. They need the eyes to be checked. And number 4 is blood pressure. So whenever you see a victim or is rescued, these 4 things has to be checked, even without telling them. I never went to the dentist for more than 12 years. And my entire thing was gone. They said I need to go to a periodontist. I didn't know what was a periodontist. And then when I went, somebody guided me to Dr. Scott Silverstein. Now he's a team member of our organization. And I was so scared because I thought it will be like $6,000, $8,000. I didn't have that money. But can you believe there are good human beings on this planet? They did counseling and he did it free for me. So we have such people, pro bono on our team.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So you're working in different countries, and then that's primarily focused on, anything to do with trafficking. So it could be sex trafficking or labor trafficking, or.
Yeah, both. And basically, I'm more interested in educating people, telling them, if you come also, have the hotline number, National Human Trafficking hotline number with you. Like I tell everybody to save it on your phone. Like I have saved it on my phone. I tell everyone to save it on their phone because you will not know when you need this. You need this number. When you will come to a situation, you might be not vulnerable, but you might become vulnerable when you come to the US. But you should save this number. So I educate them, empower them. And I tell them, I'll tell you, one girl came on an F1 visa, like you said, from India. And she became a victim of sex trafficking. And there are so many girls, foreign nationals, who have become victims. From California also.
Yeah, California. There was a language school in Hollywood that was bringing in girls from Russia. And they would give them F1 visas to come over as students, and then all of those girls were working on the streets in Hollywood.
Right.
Yeah. So that finally, thank God, that school was brought down, and those girls were set free. But yeah, it's happening in so many different faces to the kind of exploitation that's happening. We have, the massage parlors are one that are also very, very ripe with both labor and sex trafficking. So you have kind of an intersection of the two through massage parlors, where a lot of times those girls also are living in kind of houses provided by whoever runs the business and keeps them all together, drives them to work. They never get to talk to anyone outside of the work that they do. Many times they don't speak the language, so they really can't communicate very much, but under very, very tight control. And I think that business also, you have kind of a debt bondage where people are brought into the United States. Can you explain a little bit about debt bondage and how debt bondage works?
The debt bondage is that many times the victim himself or girl does not know what is debt bondage. It took me almost 10 years when I was doing a presentation at Sisters of Notre Dame that I said, which bank in the world will give you loan without applying? And it was at that time the bulb clicked when I was doing a presentation in 2010 that my social security card and all my documentation was with him. And that's why he could apply for a bank loan and create a debt on me. And that time I didn't know also it was a debt bondage, because then I started attending all these human trafficking programs, and that is how I came to know they create debt bondage. So for any common man to survive in the United States of America, you need 4 things. You need a state ID, you need a work permit, you need an SSN, and you need freedom. So if you do not have these 4 things, even if you are born in the US, you cannot survive. So with this debt bondage, how they do, they exploit you, whether it is labor trafficking or sex trafficking. Oh, they say that, oh, I got you from there, from India. Like he told me, you have to pay all this fees. There are people who have come through the border, and they said that I paid the coyote people. Okay, I remember one Mexican, he got deported from Columbus, and then he was in a restaurant, and then he called up from Mexico, bolte hai, this somebody is going to get me, but you'll have to pay $3,000. This I'm talking of 2004. And in 15 days he was here. And then our restaurant guy who was there in charge, he paid him $3,000. And now that $3,000 can become $25,000. He said, I got it from there, I had to do this, I had to do that. And then they say, I'm doing a paperwork for you. I'll tell you another thing. They say, oh, we are going to apply a green card for you. And I've seen so many victims. I've come across at least more than 50 victims where they say they paid the employer from that salary only, which they didn't get the salary, about like $25,000. Oh, I applied for your green card. He has not even gone and spoken to an attorney. And they said, I applied for your green card. It is coming. I spoke. I'm going to New York now. He's going to New York for some other work on flight. And he's coming back. Oh, I've done this thing. He gets some fudgy paper, something like that. And now, today I know there are so many people who are working in the restaurant, Patrick and friends. I always tell, if you are coming on a C1D visa, for shipping visa, never ever jump and come to the United States of America, because that visa can never be converted to legal status, even if you get married to an American girl. C1D visa. And these people, employers, have taken money from this C1D. Now when I think, in every restaurant in the United States of America, there will be at least 50% C1D visa employees. 50%, I'm assuring you. And now you say about methodology, that do you have data about labor trafficking? No, these people, I just spoke to one person 2 weeks back. He said, Harold, can you, I'm trying to fill this form. Right, he has filled this form. And then I speaking to him about C1D visa. I said, I said, who told you to jump? Because he doesn't know. And he's like, can you help me with my green card? I said, it's not going to work. You better go back to India. And you go through it. C1D visa cannot be done. You come on a J1 visa. There are certain things people are ignorant.
Yeah, right.
And these employers take money from them and saying that I'll do your green card. How will you do your green card? And they believe. And they stay here. So they use them. And they take the money also. Because they've been paying the money. There are so many cases I've seen. One person, he was working here for 5 years. And the employer never paid him. And eventually he died. It is so horrific. But that time, one day, I got a call, I think in 2004 or 5, from Texas. We are working here. He was working in a 7-Eleven gas station. He was mopping on the other side. It was a busy station at night, 10 o'clock. He got a stroke and he died because there was so much pressure. And that person, like another person, he was talking to me and he was crying. And I was just listening as a child. And what could I do? I did nothing. And he had 2 kids who were 3 years old and 5 years old. And he came here for a better living, and he was again on a C1D visa. And then it is like, and today when I think of all these victims and survivors, or gone through all this, who cares now how his wife and kids are doing? And the employer didn't do anything. He didn't get any, you have some compensation, nothing. They didn't even help to transport his body. He just so they're so ruthless.
Are there laws?
So it's so important, what you're doing through. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Wei.
It's more of I want to ask about the law
I was just
side.
thinking that the service.
Oh, we're just going over each other right now.
Yeah, you're frozen on my side.
It's okay. Go ahead, Patrick.
Go ahead, Ray.
Since you're on the law side of things, are there laws that protect undocumented people? if they are to like figure out that they're being trafficked? Are there laws that are able to protect them?
Yeah, like see, if a person has been trafficked, so there are 3 types of visa, like CP. Many people don't know, continued presence. So they are entitled for continued presence status, which can be given by the law enforcement agency. And that can be done immediately. So they get everything. Only thing, they cannot vote and they cannot leave the country. So they can work anywhere. They'll get a work permit. They'll get all benefits. So no one is aware of that. So continued presence. Tell friends, if you are a victim of human labor trafficking and debt bondage in the United States of America, call the hotline number. That's 1-888-373-7888. And they are not going to prosecute you. They'll help you and get you a CP visa depending on the case-to-case basis. That's one. Number two, or you can apply for a U visa and a T visa. And if you apply for those visas, after 3 years, you can get a permanent residency card. That's a green card. And why I'm saying this so confidently is that my case was with the FBI. And I also didn't know what is CP. And my FBI agent got me a continued presence status. And then I got the U visa, then I got my green card. That's the permanent residency card. And again, Patrick and Wave, my 2 sons, I always said it took me 133 months to get my freedom. On February 14th, 2014, look at God. My son got their permanent residency card on 2014. On February 14th, Valentine's Day. I didn't know what was Valentine's Day when I came to the US. Then on other things, see, on June 27th, 2011, we bought this house where I'm sitting here today.
Wow.
And that was my wife's birthday. And we moved in the same house the same day. We did the closing in the morning, 10 o'clock. We saved, we had nothing in the house. Nothing. We slept on the floor. We sat down on the floor and ate food and we slept on the floor. But the closing was going on for the last 6 months and we could not do the closing. I don't know what, something or the other, because we didn't have credit score. But eventually we got the credit score, alternate credit score, the bank loan, everything. And it was, I think, God's plan. June 27th, on my wife's birthday, we did the closing. And then on September 25th, 2011, there were 10 American families like you who used to always help us in the Bible study, and there are some very affluent people. So we kept a get together for them because they helped us a lot. And they came to our house on 24th of September and we had dinner here. And then they showed the entire house because we bought a condo. It's not a big house. So I think, my father used to always tell me, your heart has to be big. Heart has to be big. Maybe your house is small. So a lot of people come and stay at my house. It's free, So they came, they saw, and then they saw our bedroom and there was a mattress down. So they would ask my wife, like, in your culture, like, you all sleep down? Like, so my wife said, no, like, because they don't know that you need money, right, to buy a bed.
And so you can really look forward to your birthdays. It seems like great things happen on your birthday.
We never celebrated any birthdays. Like, we never celebrated my kids' birthdays since we came to the US. And we don't have that culture. That's why I want to get into that parent-father program with you. So, but anyway, this family, they didn't sleep the full night. I didn't know. Next day at 4 o'clock, they come and knock my door. And they fix the bed. In my thing, and here for my kids also. So, like, they came and made a bunk bed for my kids and they gifted us the bed. But, that means a lot to me. Like, just understanding and respecting them, And that's the reason, like, I want to give back to the community, especially to our victims and survivors globally. Because, like, I'm not going to take anything up. And I do not have 10,000 days, Patrick and Wave. 10,000 days is 27 years, 8 months. I'm not going to live that long. So what you will do with $10,000 or $20,000 when you don't have 10,000 days left with you? So we are talking about permanent residency card, US citizenship, for U visa, T visa, blah, blue and all. But God does not give us any visa permanent. He gives transit visa for you, me, my kids, my wife, everyone. One day I have to go up. Whether it is President Trump, whether it is Narendra Modi, it is Amitabh Bachchan, you take Oprah. But it's a reality that we all have to go up. We will not get, you tell, here I'm giving you $2 million, extend by another 30 years. They will not extend your visa. So like my perpetrator hired a guy to shoot me.
Wow.
So I've kissed life couple of times. Yeah, that's the reason. So, but my visa, he said, no, you're going down. You are not coming up. So God has sent me down. So I know now that he cannot. And if he tries to send me, he cannot send me my perpetrator. Because the visa is in his hand. But but what I'm trying to tell you is that, like when somebody tells you that I'm going to kill you, you said the good, the bad, the ugly. I saw the movie of Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
There's so much firing, you get so much excitement, you see blood, and wow, you like to see it again and again. But when you get shot, you see blood, you forget everything in life. I was a couple of hours later, I was gone. They put 9 units of blood on me. And I come home, job and family comes after a couple of weeks, like after a week, I think. And I come home the same day in the morning, 10 o'clock from the hospital. The doctors had given up. Even I gave up. I gave up that I'm gone. I'm done. But I think God had a separate plan. And then I come home at about 12 o'clock or 12:30, somebody knocks, a smart girl like wave and in a business jacket and says, oh, I'm from Job and Family. So I heard Job and Family. So I said, oh, wow, like she's come to give me a job. So I had a very like dumb look, and then she removes a badge and says, I'm from Job and Family. Do you get it? I'll pick up your kids, put them in the car, roll up the glass. They'll cry and you cannot do anything. I'll take them. I said, what? Like, what is this? And she comes in and she said, where are your kids? I said, my kids are not there. And then by default, my younger son, Rohan, he walks in. He was such a small kid. And Bolda, I need to talk to him. She talks to him, Rohan. Like, do you know 911? And my son said, no. Bas, that was it. She started searching my refrigerator, blah, blue, and she thought it was like a case of child abuse. And I didn't know what was child abuse. Because I was from India, that was a new concept for me. And then she started firing me left. Then I started telling her, now Patrick, if somebody comes and picks up your 2 daughters and threatens you, are you going to laugh? Oh yeah, take my daughter, this and that. Are you like, you're a father? So I was telling her, yeah, I was working there, I didn't get money, this, that and all. I was just telling her, I was losing my temperament. She's saying, you frustrated man, keep quiet, shut up. You need to go to church. And she yelled at me. And I kept quiet. But she came, I think, on September 8th to my house. On December 18th, the case got closed. But you know how it feels?
Wow. God, I just can't imagine all that you've been through. So, what can you explain a little bit more about that? Like his hiring a hitman to take you out. So that was after. So the FBI got involved in your case. So for you. How did you actually get away from the trafficker or get connected to the protection of the FBI or whoever it was? Because I mean, I know Homeland Security. I don't know. Is this something you can talk about?
Yeah, but I will I'll tell you, this is just the tip of the iceberg. So there is a Bollywood film coming up, like The Lion or The Dangal, they're doing a biopic on me. So I'll be signing on the dotted line maybe, I think, next month. And they're seriously working on that.
That's great.
Yeah, so there's a film coming up, seriously. So Bollywood film. Yeah, so I was, Netflix had approached me, so they wanted to do it on Netflix. But I have to decide with whom I want to go. But I have not decided that, but I'll be working on that. But because what I want that people will, once they watch the movie, Patrick, they will come to know exactly what happens in the life of a human labor trafficking and debt bondage. And how you can come out of it by giving my living example. Today, both my sons are doing very good. You cannot commit. I always tell, suicide or silence is not a choice or an option or a solution. We need to fight. We need to come out of it. And nobody is going to come out and help me. And that's what I'm trying to live by my living example. I fought tooth and nail. It's not that I'm just talking in words. And today I'm talking because I've gone through all the situations. I'm trying to inspire people who are going through depression, broken relationship, divorce, or they are going through human labor trafficking or any situation in life. You can come out and you can do well in your life. But you need to be a good human being. If I'm not a good human being, Patrick, I cannot be a good husband. I cannot be a good father. I cannot be a good son. I cannot be a good community member. I do not want to be at the White House if I'm not a good good human being. Today I need to respect my kids. And I'm not saying I've gone through hell, but I know what I've gone through. It was a stigma. It was a shame. People even spat on my face. People even abused me. But today I don't. The same people come and ask me for help, and I help them. Yeah, it's a fact. But what is the use of keeping that anger? because I feel that they were not educated or they didn't have the common sense. So just me also being the same, it does not help. So I just don't. I've decided to be happy. So how can you be happy? Only then you have to be a living example. And this gives me happiness when I help victims. Now this person, when he hired a guy to shoot me, that person went to prison for 10 years. But that's a different story. It was that time the FBI was not in the picture. I got connected with the FBI in 2007. So it's a very long story. But what I'm trying to say is that we have to stand up and talk. If you don't talk, these people, perpetrators, get more aggressive. They can do anything. Can you imagine? Can I withdraw money from my bank account, Patrick? Or anybody? Can I?
If you have a bank account.
No. Can I withdraw money from your account?
Oh, no, absolutely not. So
my perpetrator withdrew money from my bank account.
Right. So he had himself signed on to your account? Or?
No.
Wow.
So this is not that joint. So this is like a mafia gang. He sent fraudulent letters from the immigration department that Harold and Dance are illegal. And when I went to it the Attorney General's office, they said this is a fraudulent letter. They tried to kidnap my kids. So it's a big story. I don't know where to start, where to end. But I decided if I die, I'll die here. I told the judge, take a gun and shoot me. But I will not go. He has done so much fraudulent that these perpetrators are capable of doing it. Nobody will do it in the world. They have so much power, they think they can do anything. I said, come now, do. Now, even if he tries to kill me, he cannot kill me. Even if he puts 10 bullets in my head. You know why? I might physically go, but spiritually, Eyes Open International is prevailing. There will be billions of people who will stand up. So I will never die.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm interested.
It's amazing, just like once you have the courage to be able to break, it's just like what can be achieved is incredible. Okay, Wei.
I'm kind of interested for our viewers when it comes to like being a bystander. We actually do have a command in chat over the hotline for people to save the hotline into your phone. It's amazing. Like, what are things that as a bystander we should look out for when it comes to labor trafficking?
I think like number one is that I always tell if you're going to a gas station, I know just one American lady called me from an airlines saying that she went to a gas station. She felt that person is a victim of human labor trafficking. Then I told her she just called the hotline number. So when you call the hotline number, I want to tell viewers that even if you are not a victim, but if you doubt something, just call and you'll not land into any trouble or problem because the perpetrator does not know who called because you're calling the hotline number, so you're safe. But do not indulge directly with the victim or to the perpetrator. So call the hotline number one. And number two is that many times the victims, if you go and tell to a Mexican, hey amigo, are you a victim of human trafficking or labor trafficking? He'll say no, because he does not know the meaning. But if you talk to that Mexican, hey man, where do you work? He says, I work in a restaurant. What do you do? I'm a dishwasher. Oh, good man. So what time do you go to work? He'll say 9 o'clock. Oh, good man. So what time you come home? He'll say 10 o'clock. Oh, good. So then how much money you get? He said, I get like $1,200. Man, that's mucho money, man, per week. He said, no, I get per month. So you got 2 days off? He says, no, I work 7 days. So you calculate, it is like coming down to like $3.38 per hour. So that's a clear-cut case of human labor trafficking. But when you ask them, they'll not know. So basically, in the first meeting, no one will tell you that I'm a victim of anything. You have to just make friends, or you have to say, hey, hi, hello. If you see his name, just call him by his name. When you call him by his name, he will cool down. Oh my God, this person called me by my name. So there's an art of talking to a person, especially to a victim, because they're so much abused, which is not in your presence but in your absence, that when you even just say hi, hello to them, they get excited. And number one. Number two, I was talking to somebody also in my friends that whenever you put cash, dollars, or even you put on the credit card tips in a restaurant, the tip does not go to them. Right. And whenever you talk to them, they say, yeah, we don't get the tips. So basically, I would say that every person is to call the hotline number if you doubt. And then even the victim is safe because they know how to manage it and how to get in touch with the victim and rescue the victim. Yeah, and just be humble. Just I told them, just talk to them. And now this is COVID. If not, then give a shake and give a hug. It does not hurt you to give a hug.
Yeah, one thing that's really come out, increasingly over the years is traffickers learning, what kind of questions people ask. So they're coaching the victims exactly how to respond. So if the police ask you a question, you should say this and this and this. If a person asks you, you should answer this way. So there's a kind of a coaching that goes on. So you can't really rely necessarily on a conversation with the victim. And I think maybe you have some other cases, but I think here there's a lot of like groups, vans full of especially kids that go all around the country, with magazine subscriptions or, selling candy. And a lot of those are trafficking victims. They're
Yes.
people are taken from poor communities, and then they're being driven all around the country and making money for somebody. And in many cases, they're coached exactly what to say if someone starts asking them questions. They're here with their parents. The answers that they give are, well rehearsed before they actually get asked anything. But what are some other in America? You mentioned like the restaurants and I think construction, gas stations. There's a few different types of work. I know like within the farm community, there's a lot of undocumented workers that are also working under slave conditions. Beauty salons, hair, nail salons here, massage parlors. Are there any other businesses that are prone to having, kind of victims of labor trafficking?
Yeah, but I'll tell you, like in H-1B visa, there are so many people who come legally. Like in the farming industry, they come legally for doing work in the agriculture farming, especially in Florida and in California. So they come on that visa and they become victims of human labor trafficking. Like H-1B visa, there are so many students who have come here on F-1 visa, and then they're on the OPT, optional practical, I think some training, or they're to be here.
Yeah.
And then they become victims because they are employed. That's again white collar, which I have to touch that subject. That's a white collar human trafficking. So these people get recruited from a third agency, and I don't want to give the names of the companies. So they are working for some multinational companies, big companies in the US. But these big companies appoint these agents, and they appoint these students who are graduated. So they, on paper, when they are working with the company, they are paying the agent like $152.50 per hour. But these victims who are legally working for them as on deputation, they are getting like $32. There are so many cases. So that's again, and they said that we are doing a H-1B visa. So they hold them and keep. So I got about like 2 people out of that. And then they always threaten them and emotionally blackmail them. So I told them that if you tell your employer, give him my name, tell him to Google my name, and if he does not relieve you, I'll take action. And then that fellow might have done and he gave my name. I said, just go and give my name and tell him. But that is one other big industry in the US. This all educated people. So it's not only uneducated people, Patrick, right. Educated people. So like me, there are so many H-1B visa people being exploited. So basically when somebody is viewing this, the only thing is that the fear they have, that they think that they will not get justice.
Yeah, that's right.
So that is one thing, and it takes time. See, this does not happen overnight. See, my case also took a lot of time. So now the COVID is going on, pandemic. So, a lot of things are slowed down. We can't blame. The priorities have changed. So, but in this particular episode of pandemic, the victims are having a tough time. Like I was amazed when you said about pornography going on now. It just shook me. I never thought like all this will happen during this particular time, but it is sad. Like I've seen so many people call me from New York. They're working in a liquor store. The hours have increased, and they're getting $7.50 and no overtime. They're working 14 hours a day. Yeah. They're working in warehouses. They're getting $8 in a town like New York.
Yeah, there's another guy that I knew here. He was also from India, coincidentally, but he responded to a university that was having I believe it was a master's program or PhD program, and so they prepared everything for him to come and attend this class. He already had his bachelor's degree and he wanted kind of further his education. They brought him over to the university. Once he got there, then they said, "Oh, we don't have that class anymore. We're not going to have it for a while. So you can just work for us." And they had him doing all of the labor in the school. from carpentry to maintaining everything, painting, and not paying him anything. So this is someone that they brought him over under the pretenses that he was going to get the degree that he needed or that he wanted, and then just basically exploited him doing all the labor and threatening him constantly. It was Homeland Security that found out about his case and ended up getting him out. And the woman who runs that, it was a small college. It's just hard to believe this is in California, that you have a school, an accredited school that was actually exploiting people as students. But she's now in prison for a number of years, thank God.
But that's good you're sharing that, Patrick, because many times viewers who are watching, they think that law enforcement agencies are bad people. But I always tell law enforcement agencies are very good people. They are the people who will rescue and give you freedom. Because I still work with police officers. I work with Homeland Security. I work with all law enforcement agencies, with FBI. I do a lot of training programs for them. I'm a consultant at the Department of State, and even for the consultant at Blue Campaign or Department of Homeland Security. But I want to tell all my viewers that these people are really good. They want to help you, but your traffickers are scaring you and manipulating you. But if you have done something very wrong, so they go from the law. But I always tell they are not there to prosecute you and deport you back. You have to have that trust. Or if anything is there, if you have a genuine case, contact me or contact Patrick. You have the numbers or you have the website. So if you're not comfortable in calling the hotline number, contact us. Contact Patrick, contact me, contact Wave. But you need to step out and rise, because you cannot be scared and be living your life. You got to live your life with freedom.
That's absolutely right. Yeah, and there are a lot of people that are helping. And I think one thing with increasingly in America anyway, and law enforcement are being trained by survivors. So they have they're much more aware of what a victim of human trafficking actually goes through. And that gives them then the tools and how to talk to them and how to give them the support that they need. So there is really kind of a growing aware kind of law enforcement in the United States. Not perfect, and there's still certain areas where they really are not informed as yet. But for the most part, I think within the FBI, within Homeland Security, within local law enforcement, there are people who are now being trained about human trafficking, which is critical. They have to know what they're seeing. This is again why we call it see it, end it. The seeing part is very important, that you actually can recognize what you're seeing before we can take the appropriate steps to ending it. It's that process of being able to open your eyes, see it, as your organization's name implies as well. We have to have our eyes open to be able to see what's happening before we can really effectively change it.
Right.
And I know we're kind of coming towards the end, so maybe can we play the video of your son?
Yes, please.
I think that's really important.
Yeah, always I tell age is just a number.
Especially these days.
Country trip with a purpose. Two friends drove thousands of miles in a Tesla to raise money and awareness about human trafficking.
And in a story you'll see only on 9 on Your Side, anchor Ryan Houston reports they actually set a record doing this.
That's exactly right, guys. The friends say if they can save one person from human trafficking, the 5,000-mile trip was worth it. These two hit the open road from California to New York to stop human trafficking. It's an issue Bradley DeSouza and his family knows all about.
We were all labor trafficked in, so my parents were working 16-plus-hour days for little to no pay, and my brother, myself, and my mom were kind of the leverage to keep them both working. And that went on for about 18 months. And in which case we eventually got out.
So DeSouza and his friend Jordan Hart set out to get others out. They decided to raise awareness about the issue by beating a record of driving from California to New York in a Tesla. And they recorded the 5,000-mile trip and put it on YouTube.
That's roughly the total number of miles we traveled. So we had the car wrapped with decals and pointing people to our website. I think we stopped a total over 40 cities.
Logistics during the actual drive were fairly simple. It was pretty rigid in what we were doing, so we would end up driving about 2.5 hours, 3 hours or so. We were stopping for about 20 to 40 minutes depending on where we were. while we were stopped, stretch our legs, post on social media.
They set a new record driving in an electric car from Redondo Beach, California to Red Ball Garage in New York City. The pair made it in 51 hours and 47 minutes, but to them this trip was about so much more, and they're already thinking about what's next.
I think the awareness we've raised, just thousands and thousands of people that are now reminded about the issue and is a huge thing.
We've thought of some ideas to kind of continue the awareness piece of it for at the core, but doing something I don't know about yearly or whenever we have the time, so that we're able to continue raising awareness.
The two are still raising money for human trafficking awareness and victims. WCPO web reporter Lucy May has more about their fundraising efforts and how you can help out at WCPO.com.
Ryan, thank you.
Yeah, so I always tell, age is just a number, and I try to leave my example, like what my kids have gone through. And that's what I like for the last more than 10 years, Patrick, both my sons are managing the finance. I am financially retired. So I believe in actual practice, how they should know to respect money, know to respect human beings, help people, be humble, And my son is working for Tesla for the last 6 years, Bradley. And on July 24th, he bought a house in Chicago this year. He has taken the bank loan and all. And my younger son is working for Apple. And he won the state championship for tennis in lawn tennis. And then they have been ball boys for the last 11 years. Only this year it got cancelled. So they've been ball boys for Djokovic, Federer, you name, Serena Williams, ball boys on the center court in Cincinnati Masters. So always tell everything is possible. Nobody can stop you if you are in the right direction. If you got talent, you got passion, and you got a commitment. So my older son, both my sons are in the news. My older son was appointed as a national scholar, as a global scholar. He was appointed as the youngest board of directors for Prevent Blindness. And that's why I try to encourage people, irrespective of all the negativity, of all the problems, of all the abuse and shame that my kids have gone through. Forget me, my kids have gone through. But today I'm very proud that, they are doing good, because that was my only dream. As a father, I wanted that what I went through, I don't want my kids to be abused and going through a rough patch, and then they also become a victim of labor trafficking or anything else. Because I could see that 24 hours. And I would like that if Wei can play the last video and how things can change. People I never dreamt I'll go to the White House. I never dreamt I'd meet you and talk to you.
Yeah. It's a mutual blessing.
They're nearly invisible and could be anyone you pass on the street, victims of human labor trafficking. Also camouflaged are lives so desperate, they're described as slavery. Slavery is something that ended in the 1800s here.
Yeah, but slavery still happens. I think it's like nowadays we term it as modern day slavery.
Harold D'Souza was once a victim of human labor trafficking. Even though he had a master's and a law degree in India, he says he came to the U.S. on a work visa, but ended up in Blue Ash, working endless days for a restaurant owner and got paid nothing.
Three things happened. I was manipulated, I was tricked and trapped, which I never knew where I was entering. I didn't know the culture, I didn't know the people, I didn't know the law enforcement agency, and I didn't know how this country operates.
With the help of the Sisters of Notre Dame, Dina Muir, he says he was able to escape the grasp of the restaurant owner, and eventually he became a U.S. citizen.
Be aware of what's going on.
Sister Joan Krim was one of those who helped Harold. She says it's the commitment of the sisters to draw attention to all human slavery so people can recognize the problem.
We have to be knowledgeable enough about the situation that we can be alert if we see any of red flags going on.
Harold's story was so compelling, he was named to the U.S. Advisory Council on Human Trafficking by President Obama and continued by President Trump. Harold is now working to bring the victims of human trafficking out of the shadows. Well, Harold will be at the Sisters of Notre Dame, Dana Muir, along with 3 other members of the Advisory Council. That's August 4th for a community meeting. Brian Hamrick, WLWT, News 5.
That's so great. I think again, especially seeing your sons and seeing kind of the things that they're doing with their lives, we could have had a very different story, right? I mean, if you had continued in your situation and your children could have died. I mean, and that's happening as you said, so dramatically. I mean, it's just people are dying who are being victimized and exploited. And this is something that we really have to, whatever moves your heart, in whatever way that you can, please get involved in bringing human trafficking to an end. And we can do this. And I think especially with young people, like Wei is a kind of demonstrates this. People have skill sets. Everyone's got skill sets. And young people today, they have an intolerance for the things that they see that are really wrong and evil. And that we really need them to step up. The young people today can be heroic. And as you say, Harold, age is a number, and young people can do amazing things they can accomplish today. So we really hope that this kind of encourages and inspires them to get involved.
Yeah, thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
I was so grateful to you and to your whole family for everything that you've been through and what you've turned it into for the sake of others.
As the stream kind of wraps up, I wanted to ask Harold, do you have any final remarks that you would like to tell the audience?
Nothing. I always tell, be happy, be empowered, believe in yourself. So these are certain things I just tell, and love your family. I think everything starts from the house. So love your family, take care of your wife and kids, and take care of your friends, and everything will fall in place. And it's very easy to do that and never exploit anyone, because we are all human beings. And I would just say that follow Eyes Open International. We are on the Facebook page also, and there's a lot of information there. So if or Ian, contact Seed, Endit, Patrick. Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, please support what Harold is doing. So Eyes Open International is very, very important in educating people in their home countries. I mean, we want everyone to have common sense, but you can be the voice of common sense to an awful lot of people that are considering coming to America who are not really prepared for it.
And from MP in the chat, he mentioned how great of an attitude you have and such a wonderful message you had to give. Harold, we appreciate you so much for being a part of the show. We will be back next week, and we'll be talking a little bit about incest, sexual abuse to porn, and its association with children. Thank you for being a part of the stream. We will be rating you guys to Flexus. So we will see you on Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Central. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Yeah, good night. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Wei. Thank you, Harold. I'll see you next week.
Yeah, thank you.